If there were chariots found in the Red Sea, it would probably have something to do with the crossing of the sea.
A recent discovery at the bottom of the Red Sea has sent shockwaves through the archaeological community, and what these divers found could rewrite everything we know about ancient history. The impossible discovery. We're not talking about a single shipwreck or a few scattered artifacts. We're talking about an entire battlefield frozen in time at the bottom of the Red Sea. In late 2024, a highly secretive diving expedition uncovered something that mainstream science has insisted for decades simply does not exist. Hundreds of chariot wheels, horse skeletons, and human remains, all perfectly preserved in coral. The team was equipped with cutting-edge technology, advanced side-scan sonar, military-grade remotely operated vehicles with 4K cameras, and hypersensitive magnetometers. They weren't searching randomly. They were looking for something specific at a very particular location in the Gulf of Aqaba, guided by decades-old claims that the academic world had dismissed as pure fantasy. When their sonar operator first saw the anomalies on his screen, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Strange symmetrical shapes appeared in a long linear trail across the seafloor. These weren't natural rock formations. They were round, precise, and arranged in a pattern that looked disturbingly deliberate. The team deployed their ROV, sending it hundreds of feet below the surface.
And this is near Nuweiba in the Gulf of Aqaba.
As the submarine robot's high-powered lights cut through the dark water, the first shape emerged from the sand, a perfectly round, coral-encrusted wheel, an ancient spoke chariot wheel. Then another appeared, and another, and another. What they discovered was a massive debris field stretching nearly 1.5 miles across the seafloor. This wasn't just archaeological curiosity, this was evidence of a military catastrophe. What the footage revealed. When elite deep-sea divers descended to document the site in person, the sheer scale of what they found was overwhelming. The seafloor looked like an ancient war zone, littered with the remains of what appeared to be a fleeing army. The wheels themselves told an incredible story. They found wheels with 4 spokes, 6 spokes, and even 8 spokes, each design corresponding to different types of chariots used by the Egyptian army during the New Kingdom period. The 4-spoke wheels were older designs, while the 6 and 8-spoke wheels were the advanced, stable designs used by elite warriors and possibly even the Pharaoh himself. Finding all these designs jumbled together in one location represented a snapshot of the entire Egyptian chariot corps from a specific historical period. But the wheels were just the beginning. The divers found twisted metal fragments that appeared to be axles, tangled rectangular remains of chariot cabins reduced to corroded bronze and petrified wood, all fused to the seafloor by centuries of coral growth.
The Israelites crossed on dry land, but the Egyptian army was drowned in the sea.
What made the footage particularly haunting were the bones. Scattered throughout the debris field were hundreds, possibly thousands of bone fragments. Some were clearly animal remains, skulls, ribs, and leg bones from horses positioned exactly where they would be if still harnessed to chariots. Others were unmistakably human, spines, pelvic bones, and skull fragments, all mixed together in chaotic jumbles. This wasn't an equipment dump or a collection of random shipwrecks. This was a graveyard, the final resting place of hundreds, maybe thousands of soldiers and their animals who all perished in a single, catastrophic event. Then came the most incredible moment captured on film. One diver, sweeping a high-powered light over a coral mound, caught a faint, unnatural glimmer. Beneath the coral crust, something was shining with a dull golden sheen. This matched the most dismissed claim of all, that among the wreckage was a gold-plated chariot wheel, possibly belonging to a high-ranking general or even the Pharaoh himself. The team documented everything with thousands of high-resolution photos and hours of high-definition video. They knew what they had found would change everything. The perfect location. The location itself is perhaps the most compelling piece of evidence. The Gulf of Aqaba, which separates the Sinai Peninsula from Saudi Arabia, is known for being extremely deep, in most places plunging down to 5,000 or even 6,000 feet. That's over 1 mile straight down, creating a massive underwater canyon that would be completely impassable for any ancient army, except for one very specific place. Right where the divers found the debris field, there's a massive underwater land bridge spanning the entire Gulf. This plateau stretches nearly 10 miles from a large beach in Egypt called Nuweiba to the shore of Saudi Arabia. On either side of this bridge, the seabed plunges dramatically into those mile-deep abysses. But the bridge itself is relatively shallow, about 900 feet at its deepest point. Sonar maps show it clearly, a distinct, massive underwater pathway, several miles wide. This is the only place in the entire 100-mile length of the Gulf of Aqaba where an ancient group could have even attempted to cross. The geography matches the ancient story perfectly. The biblical account describes fleeing Israelites trapped against the sea with mountains on either side and Pharaoh's army closing in. Nuweiba Beach fits this description exactly, a massive beach completely walled in by steep, impassable mountains. The only way in is from the west, and the only way out is forward into the sea. And right there, at that exact spot, is the underwater bridge. This is a detail ancient writers couldn't possibly have known about. You can't see this land bridge from the surface. It can only be detected with advanced sonar. Yet the story points directly to this one-of-a-kind location. The linear distribution of the artifacts, following the path of this submerged bridge, looks exactly like a group caught in the middle of a crossing. This unique terrain also helps debunk the skeptical argument that this is just a random shipwreck. These are hundreds of military chariots, all from the same time period, found in a linear path on the only plausible land crossing in the entire Gulf. That's not coincidence. That's a scene of catastrophe.
They found these stone tablets called a stela, and on it you see a man in a chariot chasing a man who's holding a stick, and they're going between waters.
The Egyptologists' shocking response. When the initial findings were quietly shared with certain academics and institutions, the reaction wasn't excitement or curiosity. It was silence, a cold, frozen silence. For over 100 years, the consensus among secular Egyptologists has been that the Exodus, as described in the Bible, did not happen, at least not on the massive scale the story claims. This is taught in every major university and written in every textbook. It's academic dogma. Their arguments are logical. There's no archaeological evidence in the Sinai Desert for 2 million people wandering for 40 years. Where are the campsites, the mass graves, the pottery? More importantly, there's no mention in any Egyptian hieroglyph or papyrus of their entire army being destroyed in a single catastrophic day. The entire foundation of modern Egyptology, its timelines, king lists, and understanding of the 18th dynasty's power, is built on a framework that doesn't include this event. To them, it's a myth, a powerful cultural story, but not literal history. Now, suddenly, there's high-tech footage and sonar data showing a massive underwater debris field that matches the story almost perfectly. Hundreds of chariots with the specific designs used by the Egyptian army during the exact right time period at the exact right location, with geography that perfectly matches the ancient account. If this site is real and verified, it means the experts were catastrophically wrong. A tenured professor who has built a 30-year career on the Exodus as myth theory cannot suddenly admit they were wrong. Their reputation, their life's work, every book they've published, every student they've mentored, it would all be called into question. So they remain frozen, silent, refusing to engage with evidence that threatens to topple their entire academic framework. The man who found it. First, this entire story traces back to one controversial figure, Ron Wyatt, a nurse anesthetist from Tennessee who died in 1999. Wyatt was a passionate, self-taught biblical adventurer who spent his life and money trying to find physical proof of Bible stories. In 1978, armed with basic scuba gear and a lot of faith, Wyatt dove in the Gulf of Aqaba at the exact location where the 2024 expedition just confirmed their findings. What he claimed to find was identical to what the high-tech team discovered. Coral-encrusted chariot wheels, human and horse bones mixed with chariot parts, and even that golden wheel. When Wyatt presented his findings, the academic world didn't just ignore him, they ridiculed him. He was labeled a fraud, a pseudoscience peddler, and a religious zealot seeing what he wanted to see. But here's the stunning truth. The 2024 expedition wasn't diving blind. They were following Ron Wyatt's map. Their $10 million sonar and high-definition cameras verified, one by one, the impossible claims that the Tennessee nurse had been making all along. The sonar confirmed the land bridge. The ROVs confirmed the wheels, 4, 6, and 8-spoke designs, just as he said. The divers confirmed the bones. They even saw the glint of gold Wyatt had reported.
The Bible tells us in Exodus 15, it talks about Pharaoh's chariots and his host hath he cast into the sea.
The experts who dismissed Wyatt for decades are now faced with high-tech data proving he was right about the existence of a massive ancient underwater debris field. The discovery is forcing a re-evaluation of a man everyone had agreed was a fool. The evidence is disappearing. Perhaps most disturbing is what the 2024 team discovered when comparing their findings to Wyatt's original documentation from the 1970s and 80s. Large sections of the debris field appear to have been altered or cleared. Areas that Wyatt claimed were dense with artifacts are now suspiciously barren. The team has reported seeing drag marks on the seafloor, marks that look like massive objects were hooked and pulled away. This isn't natural erosion. This suggests systematic removal. And that golden chariot wheel Wyatt claimed to have found and reported to Egyptian authorities, it vanished. There are no official photos, no museum records, no official statements. The one piece of smoking gun proof has disappeared completely. Is it possible that in the 40 years since Wyatt's discovery, someone has been slowly, quietly, and systematically removing evidence from the bottom of the sea? What it all means. This discovery represents more than just archaeological intrigue. If verified beyond doubt, physical evidence of Pharaoh's army at the bottom of the Red Sea would be seen as tangible proof of one of the foundational miracles of the Old Testament. That's not just academically disruptive, it's geopolitically explosive. It would validate core claims of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam simultaneously. In a world of religious and political tension, such proof could shift the balance of global power and belief systems. The footage from the 2024 expedition shows something extraordinary lying at the bottom of the Red Sea. Whether it's the greatest archaeological discovery in history or the most elaborate hoax ever perpetrated, one thing is certain: the academic silence surrounding it speaks volumes. The experts are frozen not from awe, but from fear. Fear of what acknowledging this evidence would mean for everything they've built their careers upon. And while they stand paralyzed on the edge of this cliff, the evidence itself may be vanishing into the depths, erased by forces that prefer some truths remain buried forever.